I want to follow up on something mentioned last video, but remember the Aku anime lore. I mentioned that I was getting a tooth extraction. So it happened yesterday, and it's a bit difficult for me to speak right now, and I'm medicated, so bear with me if I slur too much. My daily upload is going to slow down a bit too. Anyway, so last video, I was pointing out a comment I found on Instagram where someone was mentioning that having a very active sexual past or history makes other people feel uncomfortable. And he was a little bit being a bit strong about his opinion, but at the same time, I had a hot take on that. In summary, I said, I don't think having a lot of partners in the past necessarily takes away from you as a person, male or female. But some people, like myself, may question someone's psychology or psychological background per se, or their impulsivity, depending on how they present to it. I gave an example that applies to both men and women. I said, if you went on a date and someone said, yeah, I let 20 people hit, or I had 20 partners in the past, some of you may straight up pull your chair back, leave the bill, and then you just walk out. And some of you may instantly feel uncomfortable. And I specified that it's not necessarily you feel uncomfortable because someone had sexual encounters. It's because you are wondering how compatible you are with someone, considering they sleep around a lot and haven't found proper commitment. And then I said, as a personal take, Aku, I said, if someone told me that, like, yeah, I let 20 people hit, they ran a train on me, something like that, right? I would be more curious and want to know exactly why this is the situation. Some people have high sexual experiences due to trauma or lack of emotional maturity, heavy impulsivity issues, emotional detachment issues, and so forth, right? So I do have some compassion for those like that, and it does make it seem like a red flag to me. And again, this isn't just about women, it's about men too, because when I was going on dates, I would get asked how many partners I've had in the past or my relationship history. Some people will be like, well, you should tell them it's nobody's business. Well, listen, people ask that question to you. Women will ask you that question. People only act like men will only care about someone else's body count, right? Well, people ask this question because it's a good indicator to see what to expect from someone. Again, this goes back to the common denominator issue. This is like when people say, I'm sure you've heard this before, people be like this, it'd be like, all my exes were XYZ. Like, you may be right about that. All your exes were XYZ, right? They had that quality, but you're the common denominator. Why do you keep picking people who are like XYZ then? To replace XYZ, I've seen, just to fill something in with this, I've seen people say, well, this is a common one. All my exes all they cared about was sex. I need a real relationship. Okay, if that's true, right? Why do you keep picking exes who only associate with you with the sex then? Like, you can't keep blaming other people for situations you keep putting yourself in, like what is making it where other people just constantly associate you with this? Like, you can't just keep blaming other people. That's what I'm saying. Like, the real issue, and this goes to the title of the video here. Now we can get to the real topic here, right? I feel like most people lack sexual discipline. This is in the context of not only having an actual partner, but it's also related to content consumption. When people lack sexual discipline, they often also lack restraint when it comes to maintaining relationships. See, I'm slurring. I told you, I just got my twos. I said, if someone lacks sexual discipline, whatever, they also lack maintaining their own fidelity. They can't prevent themselves from impulsivity or tempting encounters. And they also struggle to prioritize long-term emotional connections over quick physical gratification. So when I mention someone telling me about their sexual history is a very long list, or we talk about, quote, body count, this is why I feel like it does raise an eyebrow to me and to many other people, because I am curious about someone's restraint. Remember what I said last video about when I was on dates and I had discussions about sexual history with people, and I noticed what I noticed, at least from the people who said they had a long list, right? In my experience, again, the people who had a long list, they also had either aggression issues, anger issues, drug issues, or something in that ballpark. Like, all these things relate to impulsive. You know what I'm saying? Some people really do look for a quick high through physical gratification, and it's an addictive feeling, and it completely distorts your dopamine gratification. So, when that's all messed up, it can affect your personality. It can affect your relationships. Now, it doesn't mean it's the end of the world. You know what I'm saying? Because I only care about how much inner work someone has done. The past may be the past. The past is the past. But if you haven't done the work to control your impulses or you haven't disciplined yourself, then yeah, I'm sorry to say it, your sexual history will 100% bother me. Even if I see signs of it, even if you say like, no, I've done the work, you know what I'm saying? Now I'm looking for something real, right? I had like a gajillion partners in the past, but now I'm looking for something. Okay, well, if you show signs that, you know, you still have these impulses, or, you know, you just show, even if it's not related to fidelity, and I see signs of impulses in other places, you know, this is where it's like, all right, you know, I'm still gonna be bothered by it. Like, your words don't mean anything to me at this point. Like, this is why, you know, this is why you can't make someone a housewife or husband if they're not a housewife or husband material to begin with. You can't save someone who's already psychologically not disciplined. That's why I keep saying the term inner work. They need to do the work themselves. You can't change these people. There's also a cultural stigma behind this too. There is a higher disapproval for promiscuous behavior in women than men. Is it unfair? Well, if you want to dig from a deep biological and psychological foundation, mind you, as we still continue to go through our evolutionary psychology and growth as a race and culture, we may still highly value women who are motherly, who show traits of motherly and caregiving behaviors, right? Promiscuous behavior is not motherly, nor caregiving. I can't speak for all men, but if you relate, let me know. Okay, because everyone likes different things. But to me, even though, yeah, you know, I'm attracted to promiscuous behavior, I'm a man, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, I may lust over certain people, what I see physically. Okay, that's cool and all right. Yeah, it's hot. But what hits more is, to me, is a nurturing personality. I like a woman who is motherly. I'm not asking to be mommied, okay? But like, it's more overall attractive to me. But if you have no sexual discipline, you don't be thinking about that stuff. You think more about the physical intimacy. And then this is how you end up with the wrong chick, how you end up with the wrong dude, or you end up having the worst baby mama on the planet, in your world at least. And it's not just the man's fault. It's the woman's fault too. You let this dude hit, and it's the guy's fault for hitting it. Both of y'all are at fault. You let your impulses get to you because the lack of discipline. So the common traits you're supposed to be thinking about from an emotional level aren't even fulfilling to you. Like, you gotta let that be fulfilling. But the bias in society will punish women more for this. For the reasons I mentioned earlier about evolutionary psychology, women invest significantly more time in reproduction. Listen, as guys, we just let it splash, okay? Meanwhile, they got like 9 months of pregnancy, childbirth, and then after all that, the caregiving, which, first of all, you gotta do caregiving while you're pregnant too. So like, this requires a huge amount of energy and resources. So subconsciously, if we see promiscuous behavior in a woman, society will associate that with someone who isn't motherly. And we can go down the rabbit hole religion as well, because, you know, religion also punishes women who show signs of promiscuous behavior. But see, and then so we got this religious psychology that's affecting society, and then we got our own biological psychology that's affecting society, right? And look, and you know what? I agree with that. I understand promiscuous behavior is often, in men and women, don't get it twisted here, I'm not just picking on one people here. Promiscuous behavior is often associated with seeking multiple short-term partners, or associated with incompatibility with the stability needed for a nurturing offspring. Yo, people who prioritize long-term bonds and family-oriented qualities are always going to be highly prioritized in society or culture. I didn't make this up. Am I lying? Am I lying? And like, what do you prefer? What do you prefer? You prefer someone at the club looking to hook up with people, someone who's acting crazy, or someone with ideal traits for a successful reproduction and group survival? But again, if you are not sexually disciplined, you do not think about this. You're thinking with your you know what. And women should feel the same way about men too. A man who shows no qualities of being a good man or father is problematic. So stop letting these dudes hit you. And stop letting these dudes, you know what I'm saying? Like, we can't just be blaming one people here. We gotta be blaming everybody here, because as the title said, most of us lack sexual discipline. It just is what it is. And there's many reasons for that too, but you know, this video is gonna be longer than what it is, right? Let me know what you guys think down below. This episode is found on Spotify and YouTube. I'm out.